What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Revent Builds. That's right, baby. The new old name. We used to be called Revent Builds, played with a few other names, but Revent Builds is here to stay. We are so excited to capture all of our different projects week in and week out. All of your responses to the new format were so encouraging. It is awesome. Let's get into this week's video. So this week we are going vertical over at Boat Dock Alpha. Over at the $1 Million Pool, we are in our final stage of a rigorous backfill behind all those retaining walls that we previously waterproofed. Then over at the Zen Den, framing continues. We're finally seeing some amazing details come together. Over at our new spec project, yet to be named, foundation work continues. We're literally laying the groundwork for what will soon come. We hope to pour in the next week or two. Let's pick up with Boat Dock Alpha.
We are back out at the big boat dock. This is really cool. I haven't been out here this week and we've started going vertical. I call it getting out of the ground, getting our foundations done, getting our first slab on grade placement, or anytime we start going vertical, I get excited. There's less variables when you start going vertical. You're kind of in control of your own destiny at that point. This thing is a lot bigger than I thought. You know, obviously I've seen the dimensions, but it's really cool to see the scale of it now that they go with the second deck up. We're out here early, beat the crew out here. Waters are calm, beautiful day. We have some small coordination here for our plumbing and electrical. We'll have a bathroom here as well as a small kitchenette grill on the second floor. And we're talking about how we're gonna get our sanitary line, I guess from the bathroom down to our pump to then put it back into the septic system. Talking with the plumbers yesterday and kind of what our plan was. Now that the steel's in place, we can double check everything. What I'm looking at right now is, I guess, two pieces that we need to look at. Is our bathroom's actually gonna be out over here past this set of beams. Our sanitary line is gonna run, we're gonna cut open this slab and run it to a pump that'll be back here. What we need to look at is we also have another beam low here. We need to make sure our pipe can run underneath this beam and above this beam. That's ideally what we'd like to do. So I'm just kind of checking some quick dimensions on exactly how deep this all is, just to make sure that we have our fall, right? Because our sanitary line has to have the correct fall. So we're gonna bounce across this thing. This C-channel here is a 9-inch C-channel. So 9 inches. And we know that the steel erectors have created a flat surface from here all the way to the other side of their steel. I put a level on it earlier. Obviously they've been shooting grade and checking elevation the whole time. If I know that the top of our steel here is 9 inches deep, I can come back to where our sanitary line is going to come through our concrete here. I have our level set up, just giving me a flat level across. And I've got a top of steel elevation that is 15 inches. So if I have a 9-inch drop here and a 15-inch drop here, I have a 6-inch gap where I can get my 3-inch pipe through. That's solid. That gives us plenty of room to sneak this pipe between these two framing members. Just always think about what comes next. So good little check here. We thought it was gonna work. It's in place. We check it, what's gonna work. No problems moving forward. That was kind of the first thing on my mind. Second thing is, I'm sure the steel guys, we use them on all of our projects. GM Bros is great, but out of curiosity, I'll check and see if things are plumb. Plumb it's level but vertical, right? Level is horizontal, plumb is a vertical alignment. It looks like this is a 6-foot level, and then it looks like we've got a 10-foot level there. And they'll often use a longer level to check the plumb on columns. So we can come in here, toss this on, and that bubble is perfect. We are right in between the hairs. You check it both directions. Solid, thing looks great. And then, I could check this on a couple other columns and just make sure, as the project manager, I don't often come out here and physically check how things are doing on a day-by-day basis, but I come out here and I spot check and I'll run inspections, and it's good to just know what you need to look for to make sure things are right. So really good progress on the boat dock. We'll probably be ready for our metal pan deck in about a week, and then concrete a week after that. So we are rolling out here. As we're going vertical, there's a couple things we're looking for. I talked about how we use our grid lines to align our piers and our columns. You can see how our column's sitting directly on top of our pier. And what we use is a base plate, right? So base plates are used in a lot of different steel applications, but it's really just a way to transfer a column to something below it, usually a footing or a foundation wall, or in this case, our pile. I'm looking at this base plate. It looks like it's pretty much directly over the pile. The piles have a little bit of a tolerance in them, so that's fine. But this helps transfer the weight from the column down. You can see how they've actually started to tack weld all of our connections. And as we go up, I'm looking at how far along they are in their actual erection process. Talking about schedule and time, I can see that, okay, the beams are up, it looks great, but how much more work do they actually have to do to make this thing structurally appropriate? A lot of the times when steel erectors start, they kind of like put things in place and set it briefly, or kind of like hold it in place but not actually weld the whole thing out. And we do that by using something called a tack weld. And a tack weld is like a dime size or a quarter size weld, and they just kind of like hit it quick, and then it holds it in place, and it allows them to get the whole framing system up and make sure everything's square against each other and it's outlined correctly before they like what we call it weld out. So a weld out is everything's tacked in place. We are done with like laying it out. Everything's nice and square. Let's go ahead and like make this thing super solid. So you have these tack welds up at the beams, as well as the other beam connections off of the L angles. So it shows me that they've got everything kind of laid out, but they haven't actually started to like do all the work. I know they have more steel connections that they're going to be putting in place. Maybe they're wanting to like get their kickers up or make some other connections to the beams before they actually weld this whole thing out. The weld out process is like what actually binds the metal together to make the connection strong, right? You're fusing the two pieces of metal together. Right now they're kind of in like the layout and erection instead of like the weld out and like making everything totally connected.
Whoa, 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 hold on. Don't crush my ends. I left it down there. Thank you guys. Let's take a little break so that I can tell you about our sponsor, Ends Energy Pouches. All right, guys, let's break it down. Ends has two different formulas. First, my favorite, the Energy Blend. This is packed with 50 milligrams of caffeine per pouch. And then, on the other hand, if caffeine isn't your thing, we got the Focus Blend packed with nootropics. Guys, Ends is for energy, and that's for everyone. Whether you're on the job sites, swinging hammers and making it happen, or whether you're back in the office, calling the shots, Ends is for you. So go on over to endspouches.com, that's nzepouches.com, and enter promo code JGB at checkout for 15% off. All right, guys, obviously you know where we are, the $1 million pool. So looking out here, this is all of our gravel that's gonna go and fill all these areas next to our retaining wall. So what we're doing is right now, we're using the Bobcat to fill this hopper. Follow with me. We got the hopper here, attached with some straps to the SkyTrack. We're taking the Bobcat, we're filling this hopper, we're using the SkyTrack to get it over here. And then this hopper, you see when I pull this lever, it opens the chute, and then the gravel will fall into the wheelbarrow. What we're doing in the meantime, just so that we can keep working, is we're using wheelbarrows, and we're getting all of our gravel, and we're dumping it down to the trench. If you look down, be careful, I don't like heights, but you see all of our shoring here. We had to excavate all of this.
As a lot of you guys know, we have an existing house and existing building that we've been working around, and part of that was actually the old waterproofing system, and our new waterproofing system had to tie into it. Well, when we started to uncover the old system, we found that the old system was not in good shape. It actually wasn't installed correctly the first time. Because we are in this narrow trench, we actually call it like a confined space in construction. A confined space is an area where you have limited means of access and egress or getting in and out. What we did is we excavated down, had to kind of clean up this old rock wall here, and then we put in our shoring. And our shoring is really, it can be made of a bunch of different things. It can be steel plates, or in this case, we have plywood with our kickers coming off the existing wall. 4x8 sheets of plywood, kickers, solid rock, just kind of holding everything that's up here away from the workers down below. So this was something that we required during this change order, was to talk about, hey, how are you going to protect your workers from getting in this trench that, you know, we weren't the ones that dug out. It's kind of like an existing condition that we're working around. So we're removing all of the old drain mat and the old waterproofing, and then filling up our new clear stone and our new PVC waterproofing system, and then putting our drain mat back in as we go up. So kind of like working in lifts. We start from the bottom and work our way up. And right now we're about 4 feet out of the 12 feet filled up. Still got about a week's worth of work here, but You know, this is one of those things where you work around the conditions you're given and problem solve and work as a team to kind of figure out the best ways to go through this stuff. Someone asked, why do we have all this extra fabric here? Well, the idea is that at the bottom of this pit, we have our pipe, right? And our pipe has all those perforated holes in the bottom, and we use our fabric to keep the soil and stuff out of the pipe. So we lay our pipe down first, and then we actually wrap it in our first layer of our geotextile fabric. And we've got a little bit of fabric here up against our wall, and then on this side, we've got a bunch of extra fabric. So we have our pipe wrapped in fabric, and then we start putting all of our clear stone on top of it to help with the drainage. But then we're gonna take all this extra fabric and wrap it back over the stone that we backfill. That way we're not allowing soils and dirt to actually get in our clear stone, and it keeps our rock clean. So we have like one layer of protection around the pipe, a whole other layer of protection around the rock to keep the rock clean to allow for smooth drainage.
The Zen Den, it is finally time to get some decorative wood out, baby. And that's right, I'm talking about none other than Rainier Plank. Rainier Plank is a company, a product that I have used now for years. The Zen Den has more wood on the interior of this home than we've ever done, even on the outside of a home. You can see the guys meticulously cutting this product. What's beautiful about Rainier Plank is they have different species of wood. For this particular project, we chose a Douglas fir because it goes with a lot of our other wood elements, interior and exterior of the home. But what's incredible about it is look at the grain. It is so freaking clear. You don't see one single knot on this product. So what you're seeing here is what we need to do is get all of our soffits, all of our overhangs, get that Rainier Plank on there so that we can finish all of our sheathing, we can get our roof decking on. We also need to be really careful about hiding all of our fasteners, all of our nails. We want directly into joists or secured from above. Now, we got to get all that stuff on. We got to get all the sheathing, that green zip board that you see, and then we're going to get our decorative beams. I am telling you, this is going to be a showpiece, one of a kind. The other awesome thing is that once we get all of our sheathing on, we're getting closer to what's called a dry-in. And what we do for a dry-in is we get with our roofer and they come out and they put the underlayment down, which is basically either a synthetic felt, or in this case, we're using a product called high temp ice and water shield. Why it's super important here is we have a lot of low sloping roofs. Once your roof is under like a 312 pitch, you wanna use ice and water because water can pool in those areas. So we have to look at all of our different valleys. We have to look at where is water entering, where is water exiting. And we're talking with our roofer, and Cody Profit with Comanche Roofing is straight up a genius when it comes to waterproofing and roofing. Now, we have some other really tricky details with our skylights to where we want to make sure that we're welding all of our metal into the curb of the skylight, and there is literally no way that water can intrude here. So check it out. We're going through a meeting with Cody here, and I love this stuff. It is super interesting. I know a big portion of y'all are like, less talking, more building, but another huge amount of you really loves the information. So let me know in the comments, like, if you guys want to see the real details of this, we'll just go and record, 30-minute meeting, and you'll see how it's actually done and how we actually problem solve, and you will learn how to do this stuff if you're watching it. That stuff is the lifeblood of creating a successful construction company. But if you are a builder, if you're early in your career, if you're a remodeler, if you're a contractor and you want to take your business to the next level, or maybe you're someone that's outside of the construction space that wants to get into construction, or you're a homeowner that wants the stuff done right when you build your home. And I need to point this out because I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of building. What did the roofer say about our framing?
Well, first off, you're pimping me out, and I recognize that, okay? All right. This is one of the better framed houses I've seen, okay? It is actually straight. It's actually flat.
It looks like that to the naked eye.
It does, exactly. A lot of times we're getting on houses where the deck looks like this, and then they're saying, I want the flattest panel possible and I want it to look perfect. And that's just something that's an uphill battle that we deal with all the time. So I love having a house that's framed straight.
Well, that's why I want to shout out Pedro. Look, whenever he gets in the spotlight, he gets away. But this man right here is a special human being. Thank you, Pedro, Jose, Nahara boys. All right, shifting gears over to our newest spec home. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from the Zen Den. This is going to be another banger. Now you can see the guys finally setting some wooden forms, getting some exterior grade beams dug. Next week, you're gonna see a lot more action on this front. I know you guys like foundations. If you've been following along, you're probably an expert in foundations by this time. We're gonna be digging beams, we're gonna be getting in our plumbing, we're gonna be getting in our poly, then we're gonna be setting all of our rebar, and we are going to place concrete soon enough, and then some awesome framing, structural steel soon to follow, like all the other awesome stuff we're doing. Guys, I say this every time from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for watching. It is just so incredible to see all of our effort finally paying off. We've been at this thing for years. We're hiring new people very regularly. So soon enough, I'm gonna be out of the rat race of computer work, and I wanna spend a lot more time on site. Now, guys, if you haven't subscribed already, what are you doing? So much more awesome stuff coming up. I love you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.